Yo, it's your boy Uncle Pre with another episode of the Unfltered Podcast. We're here in the studio again. This week I have Meha with me, lifestyle coach, transformational coach in the fitness space. How you doing, lovely?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. You're cozy there, yeah?
Yeah, this is nice.
Yeah,
I mean, your feet reach the floor.
yeah,
Mine don't.
quite comfortably, yeah. She was struggling, so she's like, can I cross my legs? I was like, yeah, go for it, gang. Rima did the same thing, so you're all good. Now, thank you for coming through.
Thank you.
Much
for
appreciated. No, all good. Give the audience a little introduction about yourself.
I am Meha. I have two children, a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old a 3-year-old boy and a 2-year-old girl. Married to my high school sweetheart, and
Aww.
I know it's quite cute, isn't it? It's not really. It's just, it's not. It is. Don't tell him. And yeah, I do this because I love it.
What is it that you do?
I help people to eat food that they like.
Yeah.
So for me, I think it's more about, you don't have to just eat broccoli and tofu to lose weight. I mean, that whole concept of absolutely be miserable while you're eating is not for me. Eat the food that you like in moderation and learn to make it your lifestyle, because who's going to eat broccoli and tofu for their whole life to be skinny? It's not worth it. So
Fair. So you help people with dieting.
Yeah.
And what else do you do?
With exercise as well, so get strong. Really, really big, actually, because I feel like, especially when I'm like talking about my parents and stuff, the focus was never about being strong.
Yeah.
It was just always about what's here.
Yeah.
But your body is what's going to get you through old age, and they don't really realize that.
Yeah.
If you don't have muscle, if you're not working out, if you're not getting stronger, at a certain age, you're just going to become a bit
I hear you.
horrible.
What are your normal kind of clientele who normally works with you?
Do you know what? Automatically, I attract mums, but that was never really it was supposed to be just Asian people.
Yeah.
Men and women.
Yeah.
But my branding is pink.
Yeah.
So that didn't really help with the male front.
Yeah.
The only men I get are husbands of wives who are doing it.
Fair.
But yeah, mums. And I think it's because I have children.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more like, well, actually, she'll understand
Bit more relatable.
Yeah, the constraints that you have having kids.
Yeah.
So,
Understandable. All right, sweet. I love that. Mum, if you're listening, like, you know. gang. Now, I love that. I've had a number of like trainers and fitness coaches that have come onto the pod and like interviewed them on a number of different types of topics, from how to lose weight, how to maintain that weight loss, how to like be secure within yourself. I'm big on what you were talking about in regards to, like, say, the dieting front and all of that stuff, because like fundamentally it's a big challenge that a lot of people face when they think they have to eat certain foods, etc. So now I'm with you on there, and we're going to get into that at some point in this episode, but today there was something more specifically you wanted to talk about.
Yes.
I'm going to give you the floor, and then obviously I'm just going to chime in as and when.
Okay. So miscarriages. Even saying it out loud, I feel like, oh my God, like there's going to be so much backlash from certain people, but it is what it is. So it's important to me because it's how I got into what I do. Me and my husband obviously been together since we were 16. So when we got married, it was very much like, right, what are we waiting for? We've been waiting for a long time. Let's have a baby.
How long have you been married for?
Got married in 2015.
Okay, long time.
A long time. A long time. I was a baby when I got married.
Yeah.
So we just started trying.
Yeah.
And I thought, no one tells you that it's not going to happen immediately. Like your whole life, I was like, don't do this, don't do that. You're going to get pregnant. And then all of a sudden, I was trying to get pregnant, and it's not happening.
Yeah.
It took about 4.5 years. Got pregnant, and then unfortunately, we lost the baby. Again, nobody had spoken to me about miscarriage. Like, obviously, I'm not stupid. Like, I knew it existed.
Yeah.
But it was never going to happen to me.
Yeah.
And then a woman, an auntie, she turned around and she said, "Oh, it's okay. It happened, but you lost the baby because you went to somebody else's baby shower, and because you didn't stop working out. But don't worry, it's your mum's fault. She should have known better." Yep.
I'm struggling to understand that one, but all right.
Yep. And I was a bit like, in literally one sentence, you destroyed 2 women, right? You told me it was my mum's fault, and my mum's listening, and my mum's literally like, it's my fault. I shouldn't have let her go to that baby shower. And me, I'm like, I shouldn't have worked out. I know the science behind it. But I feel like when you're going through that trauma, you just need someone to blame.
Mm.
And she so quite easily gave me a person to blame. And I remember just being like, it was me. Like, why didn't I stop? Like, you know, why didn't I stop going to the gym?
Why did you stop, or why
didn't I stop?
Okay,
Because I continued, because I'd always been going to the gym. Like, I've always liked working out. And I just thought, well, it's fine. I wasn't stupid. I was careful. And I think my husband could see he was just a bit like she's going a bit the other end. And he was like, obviously, we want to have another baby. And I want you to be active during that. But at this rate, you're not going to move because you're so scared.
Yeah.
So I spoke to loads of people, but I just wasn't computing. Like, I was just like, no, she told me it's my fault, so therefore it must be my fault. So this
is an auntie, right?
Auntie, yeah.
Cool.
So he was like, why don't you just go and learn about it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
At that point, I was working full-time in banking. Absolutely love it. And I was like, okay, fine. Went, did the qualification. They told me the same thing. Like, that was the first question I asked. And I was just like, you know, can you lose a baby because you work out? And they were like, no, it doesn't really work like that. Explain the science. Everything I already knew.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. Still wasn't really going in. Got pregnant. And then I got signed off because I had really bad pelvic girdle pain, really bad sickness. Like, literally just throwing up left, right, and centre. So they were like, we don't want this around us right now. Got signed off, and I was bored. So I started writing plans for other people. And then I started speaking to other mums who had miscarriages. And, you know, I feel like it just sort of opened up all these doors for me to be able to talk to other women. And they were like, yeah, you know, we were told something ridiculous like this. And, you know, so many horrible stories of how people were treated after having a miscarriage. And I was like, yeah, nah, this is not good. Not in my generation. This is not going to carry on. So then I just went straight for, actually, let me educate on exercising. You can exercise. Like, you can give birth tomorrow and be exercising today. Like, it's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
You just have to be careful.
Yeah.
So that for me is a big topic, I guess.
No, it is.
Yeah,
it's a massive topic.
It's a massive topic. A bad topic, but actually I think it helped me find my path.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to understand the whole concept of the baby shower.
I still don't understand it.
Is that like some
cultural,
like, some like bad vibes, juju kind of?
Yeah, but I don't understand, because having a baby is a good thing. So why would me being there, and apparently, you know, I was bad luck to her, and me being there was bad luck. I'm like, but we're both
That's
pregnant.
some folk tales, then, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, obviously. But I don't even understand. Like, I've asked so many people.
Yeah.
No one can explain it. No, you just can't do it.
Did your auntie like listen to like podcasts and stuff like that, or? Okay, cool. So can I like just say something?
Go for it.
Like, personally, in that kind of scenario, I don't understand like why people would try to point the finger and blame you versus actually thinking about like, shit, what's she going through by like losing this child right now? That's the last thing you want to do, is like point the finger and make someone feel more like shit on the back end of an event which is going to be quite traumatic moving forward for this lady.
Yeah.
I don't understand why your aunt did that.
I think they're just raised that way. Like, another woman literally turned around and we were at an event, and I feel like I'm not a crier. I'm not really emotional. But after that happened, I completely like 360'd, and I was just really emotional. We went to an event, and people are rude. Oh, you've been married a long time when you're having a baby. And I cried, right? I cried. And my mum was like, oh, you know, miscarriage to you. I was like, thanks, Mum. And the woman turned around, hand on shoulder, and I was like, she's going to say something supportive now. And she goes, it happens. Huh?
Yeah.
And she said it in Gujarati, and I feel like it's them so much worse. Thai of it. I was like, okay, cool. Like, people die every day too.
Yeah.
And people expect a death. Like, everybody's going to die. But you don't stand there at somebody's funeral and be like, oh, it happens.
Yeah. See, like, I'm kind of like tough loving it, and in certain scenarios, and I've talked about it in regards to like the topic of grief. I've gone through like my own losses in life, and I'm not one to like just like sugarcoat things. In my head, personally, I've looked at it as in, well, I still have to go work the next day.
Yeah.
Life still has to continue. I can't just stop hearing that. So I can appreciate the way I handle it. Might be different to how someone else is going through it emotionally in regards to the connection they've had with people, etc. and that. So, but there's a time and place for you to just shut up and not say anything and be supportive.
This is it.
And like, if they want that kind of comment, you ask for that kind of permission first before you just jump in. Now, I'm not a fan of like when people do that. And like, I get it's an element of like arrogance. Maybe not arrogance, just...
I think it's ignorance.
That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, ignorance. They've not been... Like, I spent a long time being really angry at my aunt. But actually, I was just like, I feel really bad for her because she genuinely does not know better.
No, of course. A lot of our generation above us
Yeah.
just don't know better in terms of like... They're stuck in their ways. They say things out of context, and half the time they don't mean what they say, but it leaves a lasting imprint in regards to like what it can do mentally.
Yeah.
Like, have you got any siblings?
Yeah, I've got a younger brother. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, like, how far young?
4 or 5 years. So
Okay, cool. Has he got kids?
29. No.
So, let's say him and his partner are about to have kids, baby shower, and you're pregnant too. Well, you're not going to turn up just because of like that kind of shit. Like, will piss me off.
Well, you do know about the one where if you've had a miscarriage and you go to a baby shower after, so miscarriage is done, dusted, you dealt with that rubbish, right? You can't actually participate in anything because you are, what was the word? I can't remember. Recently we had a baby shower. It was in my house, right? Yeah. My mum hosted the baby shower and they were like, oh, we'd really like Meha to do something, I don't know, something that we needed to do. And everybody was like, no.
Yeah.
She can't do it. And I was like, wow, kick a person while they're down.
Yeah.
Like, what is my miscarriage going to do? Is it going to all of a sudden transfer over to you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of all of that stereotypical stuff. But like, I think that topic is, if we generalize it, there's so many things within our particular culture that pinpoints things that you shouldn't do and all of these rules and stuff. And so like whenever I tell someone whether or not like are you Hindu, etc. and stuff, like I say like technically I might be, but in terms of like me personally, I don't follow half the stuff that people say because things just get thrown out. Like I've talked about it before, weddings, there's things you have to do and can't do and it's bad luck like what
I've got a funny
like what are you talking about, man?
I've got a funny story about that. So I asked this question and then my husband is really into like spirituality and stuff. So he must have gone and he asked somebody and he was like, what is it with all these rules, these cultural rules? Like they don't actually make sense. And the man told him a story and he was just like, once upon a time there was a wedding going on and there was a cat. The cat just kept running around because and it was making a mess. So the mum came and she got a box and she put it over the cat. So the cat wouldn't make any more trouble. Years later now, the little girl's grown up and she's had a daughter and her daughter's getting married. And she's like, where's the cat? We need a cat and we need a box. We need to put the cat in the box because otherwise it's bad luck. And it's like...
Yeah, all of those things just like stem from...
It was a convenience thing. It wasn't a bad luck thing. And people make up their own rules, I guess. I don't know.
Is it how far in were you? I don't know anything about trimesters and stuff like that, but like
early
weeks.
Yeah, I found out at 11 weeks. So
okay,
we were just waiting. So I found out earlier, but we found out at 6 weeks, and then they were like, right, actually, it might just be that your weeks are off. Come back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We went back in 2 weeks, and then they were like, oh, baby's grown, you're fine, but there's still no heartbeat. So we walked away like, everything's okay. You know, next time there'll be a heartbeat. Then we went back 2 weeks later, and no heartbeat. And they were like, and you know what the sad part is? That even the people who are supposed to help you, like you would think that the nurses and stuff they see this all the time. They can see the heartbreak it brings. Yeah. And even they are so desensitized to it. Like they just, like the woman, the way she told me, she was like, baby dead. And you know when you're just like, no, she said fetus dead. She didn't even say baby, she said fetus dead. And I was like, I don't understand. And I went outside and my husband was like, and then she went, okay, clean yourself up and go outside. And she was like to my husband, wait outside. So I'm there like cleaning up all of this like goo off my stomach. And I was a bit like, did I hear correctly? We went outside and my husband was like, surely that's not what she said. He was like, don't worry, we'll speak to somebody. And I'm like hysterical at this point.
Yeah,
So I was like, no,
understandably.
I know what she said. And my husband's like, no, that's not what she said. Like they wouldn't be that cruel. Like that's not what she said. And then they put us in a separate room. And I was like, why would they put us in a separate room? And then a lady came and she was a lot better. And she was like, no, actually, this is the situation. And she handled it a bit better. But the first person, like the way you get delivered that news, even they are just like, oh, well.
Yeah. Did you put a complaint in or anything?
No, I didn't. Do you know, I think at that point I was just like, I mean, I never went back to that hospital. I went somewhere else. And even like with my babies after, I just never went back to that hospital because I was like, no. And the second and third experience was lovely.
Fine. Yeah.
It could have just been that one
Yeah.
person. But I think at that point I was just a bit like, huh?
Yeah, you've just been hit with in for better terms, a shitstorm, and they've just shrugged their shoulders and get on with it. Kind of. Yeah. Not a fan of that. I've never heard of that within like the NHS or anything like that. So that's news to me.
Oh, that whole story, like, I feel like I went somewhere else. I went to Queen Charlotte, actually, because I will talk about that one because Queen Charlotte is amazing. So I went to Queen Charlotte's hospital for a second opinion, and literally this was all just before Christmas, and the woman, she was just like, and that's where I found out I had endometriosis. Didn't even know I had this before, and had been literally going doctor to doctor, being like, what is cracking?
Yeah.
She told me, and then she was like, listen, you need to have a D&C operation, like, right now, because baby's actually been gone for a really long time. If it stays any longer, you're gonna get sick.
Yeah.
But the first hospital didn't tell me
They
that.
say that. Yeah.
They just like, oh well, let it pass naturally.
I feel like there might be there are. I don't like slagging off the NHS.
No.
Anyway, I had a doctor come through and we had to like talk about things, and there are things from, let's say, the NHS and the doctor perspective which aren't understandable from a patient side of things, and there's also things from a patient side. I remember when I went to like my GP and he kept referring me, saying same stuff, etc., and like I was like, bro, this shit might work momentarily, but then it just disappears and it comes back, etc., and so when I then went to, I said, look, I need to be referred to like mine was more like skin conditions like psoriasis. Went to speak to a dermatologist through the NHS, and they're like, not sure why your GP said that. Yeah, this is what you should be using. And I'll give you the honest truth. It's going to be like this possibly for a life. Things you have to be comfortable with that. But these are the things you should be doing moving forward.
Yeah.
And like the conversation was so much more, but come in 3 months' time, we're going to send you a text, another check-in. And it's just a different way of like reassurance, you know? And like, I appreciate that. But I do feel there are some things within our health society that make it a little bit difficult from both angles.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when my gran used to be in hospital, and my mum, she'd moan at us saying that they didn't offer me tea, coffee, breakfast and stuff like that. My gran didn't speak English, so it never really helped, right?
Yeah.
But then we'd speak to the doctor and they'll be like, yeah, she turned it away. I can appreciate from one side, it's a stressful job. They're going through it, maybe numb to it. Just, I can understand it from that perspective. And also I can understand it from a patient perspective where it's like, what the hell's going on? Maybe things need to be privatized. I don't know. It's a story for another day. But I wanted to, I feel like we've just jumped past the miscarriage itself.
Yes.
And like, I feel like there's a lot of energy coming from you right now where you seem like very positive and quite chilled. But I would like to think that it was a very, very traumatic experience.
It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. And honestly, like, there will be times where I can't talk about it. Like, I have prepped to be able to talk about it right now because it's important. Like, it is really, really important to talk about. But also, I feel like, I don't know, maybe it makes a difference. Like, you know, I was able to hug my children before I left. Like, yes, my first child isn't with me, but somebody, I think maybe the second time, I can't remember, the first visit or the second visit, whichever visit, we went to my friend's house for dinner. And he said something to me. He said something along the lines of, no, this was after the final, when they told us that actually the baby's no longer there. And he said something like, look, I know that this is really difficult, but what you need to remember is that, you know, so the path that, the spiritual path that I follow, he was just like, look, in our path, you know, if a child dies before the age of 5, they go straight back to heaven. That's it. Like, there is no mucking about. They're not coming back. They are in heaven. And he was just like, as a mother, you know, you bring a child into this life to be able to help mold them into a person that is going to be so good that they are going to go back to heaven. They're not coming back here. And he was like, but you've done that. You've you know, your child is in heaven. Like, God chose you to be the mother for that last bit of karma that child had to pay off. And God chose you, and your baby is happy. And whenever I get sad, and whenever I see my children, like, you know, like today my daughter threw a tantrum because she couldn't have something that she wanted in a shop, like flat out on the floor crying. She was in pain, you know, she was upset because she didn't get what she wanted. And every time that happens, I just think to myself, well, my first is always happy, because there's no sadness in heaven. And I think as a mother, there's no better reassurance, I guess. And I think that probably is where the positive side comes from.
I hear that. I also feel like there's an element of sugarcoating going on here, though, because you said it was traumatic, right?
Yeah, it's
and
shit.
I don't think that one conversation.
No.
And like, the only reason why I'm trying to like press on it a bit more, by all means, if you don't feel comfortable, we don't have to like go down this conversation route. But I've known of people who have gone through this experience, and like, they find their own way, they show elements of positivity, but the way I look at it, if I was ever put into that boat or that position, I'm thinking, what the fuck happens next? Like I'm a guy, I'm not even involved in the process, right? How's my partner going to deal with this right now? Is she going to be scared the next time?
Yeah.
What's the relationship going to be like with kids moving forward? Is this like the end? I've known people who have had miscarriage after miscarriage after miscarriage, and it's like that build up to know that you're pregnant, then to find out that I wouldn't know what that's like right now. I've never been through it, but like, you've gone through that.
It ruins you. Like, it ruins you. It ruins everything. It ruined the mother that I thought I was going to be. Like, I don't know, like my entire pregnancy with my son, I was literally, when I say I spent the entire hospital, I spent the entire time in hospital, because any time I didn't feel him move, I was like, no, I need to be in hospital. I need to be in hospital. I probably had like a scan every week, or not scan, like they let you hear the heartbeat. Same with my daughter. Like, I didn't tell many people. Like, it was very hush hush, because I was just like, I'm so scared. I don't want to have those conversations. Even now, I see my husband, and my husband is relaxed. Like, you know, he'll let them run around, and he's not scared. But in my head, it is worst case scenario all the time.
There's a lot of fear.
Yeah, it's a lot of fear. Like, my husband will literally be like, your children are like, they're gonna hate you if you keep trying to hold on to them. But like, he'll be running, and I'm like, no, Ryan, don't do that, don't do that, because in my head, I'm seeing like head crash on the floor, split open, dead. Right? Everything ends in death. But then I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm tough on myself, and I feel like I decided to have more children, right? Like, I made that choice. So if I continue to live in that first, what am I going to do for my children right now? My friend, my business, my friend made a valid point. She was like, the reason that your business is so important to you is because for you, it's your first child. Like, it's the memory of, that's how your first child lives on. And I feel like there's, I don't know who's looking over me. I don't know what's helping, but something is keeping me going. And I feel like that's all women. Like, even the ones who have been multiple miscarriages, they keep going because they want to hold a baby.
Yeah. I haven't said it yet, but my condolences, obviously, in regards to your miscarriage. It's a difficult pill to swallow in the scheme of, like, again, that build up of excitement for it to just dissipate and disappear, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, what have you done on the back end of that personally? Because like I said, I've seen this positive version of you, and there are people I know. I don't know whether or not they've gone for counselling, whether they've gone to speak to therapists and worked on themselves that way to possibly take away this fear. Like, right now, the way you handle your children, not there's anything wrong with it, but like, if you're doing it from a place of fear, I also know that that's not you allowing your kids to learn from their mistakes,
Yeah.
and like experience life through the kind of way that you got to experience life when you were a baby and when you were growing up, right?
I did a lot of healing work with this lady called Raki. She does crystal healing. And I remember day after my DNC, I went to see her. I've done the initial reaching out to therapists because I really want to, but there's something holding me back.
What's holding you back?
Do you know what? I'm going to be the fear of crying in front of somebody. Like even now, I'm just like, don't cry. Keep a smile on your face. Don't cry. Don't cry. Because it's scary. Like being vulnerable in front of people, it's scary. And a therapist is going to push you until you get down to that vulnerability.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I'm ready to open up to that because I don't know what that will bring. I don't know what that's going to open and then what happens next.
So I'm hearing that you're worried about the emotions that will come out. I'm also trying to process that you're saying to me you're fearful in regards to what happens to you moving forward on the back end of it, right?
Yeah.
Tells me you're still living in that fear.
Yeah.
And like I said, like you're trying to branch out, but how long does it go on for you to like, stay in this position where what I'm seeing right now is you putting up a front to say I can get through this, it's fine. I'm going to hold it back, etc. But deep down, there's emotions that you're holding in, and it's possibly affecting your children, your husband, your external family, your friends, your clients in a way where you can't truly go back to being Meha before she was pregnant to begin with.
I'll never go back to her.
And that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
And talk to me a bit about her. How was she?
She was positive. You know, it was like nothing ever bad. It was just happy. Like, and you know, I attracted just non-stop happiness. Like people described me as just really bubbly, really happy, and nothing bad ever happened to me. Like it sounds like I feel like I lived. You know, I had the standard Asian upbringing, right? But even with all the crap it had, I was just happy. And because of that, I think happiness just kept radiating towards me. Whereas I feel like now there's a lot of anger. I snap like it takes like 0.5 seconds for me to go from happy to like a complete cow. And I think that all happens from the crap that you go through, right? Yeah.
Understandably, like we all go through bits and bobs. Like I can talk it on a very, very, very minor scale if I compare my situation to you in regards to like say heartbreak when I've had like accidents and stuff like that. Like it's fucked, right? And traumatically it can mess you up. But I can first and foremost say like speaking to someone about it and not holding it in, albeit it can get you possibly emotional. It's what's possible for you moving forward. Are you going to stay in that fear?
The aim is that one day I need to, and the fact that I'm doing this right now is huge for me.
I can see it.
Yeah, it's massive. So I'm hoping that one day I'm gonna be. I feel like I'm scared that if I break, then my children have to suffer for that. But I'm trying to rewire my brain to be like, well, actually, but what if you get fixed? Like, what if it helps me? But I think I'm just in that spot where, you know, I know women, older women who've had miscarriages, and you know they still cry about it right now. You know, their children married with children, like they've gone way past that. But nobody I know has healed from it, and I feel like in my head I'm like, oh, I'm also never going to heal from it. And that's the stuff that I want to move away from because it's not true. You can heal from it. If I don't believe it myself, like how do I help other people that are going through it?
I'm just going to echo a few things you just said, right? Yeah. I need to be fixed. You're not broken. You need to heal from it. It will come in time. It's not meant to be a coaching session or anything. It's just me listening to you and like really trying to deep it. It gets me thinking that there is a different version of you crying out to come out right now and be vulnerable with whoever it's your partner, your family, your friends, and say things are not okay. And she wants to do that, but right now you're locking her away on the back end of like, if I do that, fuck knows. Like, you said you're never going to be healed.
Yeah.
That's a belief system you told yourself right now.
Yeah.
You already started this conversation by like, look, life has an end point at some point, right?
Yeah.
And you're telling yourself right now that this is going to be stuck with you for the rest of life. I can hands down say that the event that's taking place will be there. It's part of your life story right now, but it's not your entire story.
Yeah. Oh, God. That is, I guess, that's something that this needs to...
In its own accord, in the times. The only reason why I'm asking this is because like, I know of when we've lost family members, and like I can see that like through my own family, the initial process and like just getting over it, shrugging your shoulder, moving on, despite the fact the emotion's there, it's not nice to see.
No, yeah.
I'm in a place right now where I would like to say I'm not miles ahead of people, but I can appreciate that like when things aren't going well, there are avenues that I can take, and I'm very open. I'll speak about everything, and sometimes it's not everyone's cup of tea. And for me personally, I'd rather get stuff off my chest and have someone echo it back to me, give me an opinion, and give me a different perspective. Like, that's very helpful for me personally, because it's like you can get confused within your own thoughts.
Yeah.
Like, you might be doing things right now where you're like, I wish I just don't do that. And it's like, well,
Yeah, a lot.
You don't have to do that. It's interesting because grief is a very, very difficult thing for people to get through, and there's a healing process.
Yeah.
Tells me right now that you are preventing your healing.
Do you know what? I think I agree with you. And you know, it's funny you say that, because I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia.
What's that?
It's a chronic pain and chronic fatigue. Comes on from trauma. Happened after I got the diagnosis after my daughter. And I remember I went to a woman, and she was like, she was like a Chinese doctor specializing in acupuncture and stuff. And she was just like, this is trauma from your miscarriage that you just locked it off. Like, we lost the baby in December. I had the DNC operation in December, and I got pregnant again in February. I didn't even give myself a minute, because everyone in my ear was just like, get pregnant. It's all right. It's happened. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. I'll just get pregnant again, and it'll fix it. It doesn't fix it.
Do you know what the sad thing about all of this right now?
Yeah.
If I was having this conversation, be like, so what would you tell someone right now who's going through that?
Give yourself a minute.
First and foremost would you say to me, speak to someone.
Yeah, speak to someone and give yourself a minute. Just allow yourself a minute. So, allow me a minute.
It's okay. I get it and I don't get it. Obviously, I'm not in your position, so I can't get it from that perspective. But I understand why people hold back. Yeah,
it's scary, isn't it? It is. It's just, I guess it's because I know what darkness looks like. Like, I know what it felt like being in that space right after it happened.
Yeah.
And there's not a single ounce of me that wants to go back there. Like, and I can't, because now there's two other humans that need me.
I get that. I'm just gonna say to you right now that darkness is still there. Yeah, and albeit you might be trying to like sugarcoat it or live within it because it's your new norm.
I think that's it. It's my new normal.
And it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Like the Meha you said before possibly wasn't in that kind of dark space. Maybe you had elements of it. Don't get me wrong, but like I'm a big advocate, and I tell people this in abundance. Living in fear is a good thing to some degree. I.e., like crossing the road.
Yeah.
You know, like, well, don't just cross anywhere, you know. But at the same time, like, living in fear can be, it can hold you back from not necessarily just your potential, but things you would like to do in your life. You know, if there's part of you that'd love to see part of the world, but you're fearful of traveling or leaving your family behind, etc., that fear is going to stop you in your life in being able to explore those things, right?
Yeah.
You may want a bigger family. You may want 5 kids. I'm not saying you do. I'm just saying, but do you know what I mean? But like sometimes it's like, I don't think I could do that again.
And you're not wrong. We both want a third, but I don't think we can go through that stress again. Like 2 children and multiple hospital visits just to make sure that my heart's beating. No, I'm all right, thanks. I can't do it again. So no, you're not wrong, and everything you're saying is spot on. We just came back from holiday, And my husband is like proper like an adrenaline seeker. So he was like, I want to take the kids on a jet ski. Oh,
Okay.
no, I'm not. You must be batshit crazy if you think I'm going on a jet ski with my children, like responsible for them and me. I'm okay. And I let them go because I was like, you can't stop them from enjoying themselves. And honestly, like, I looked down at my phone for a minute and I looked up and the jet skis had disappeared. And that moment of fear, and I was literally like, no, just breathe through it. It's fine. And I was making jokes about it because I was like, no, I need to be focused on this. Went and asked the guy twice, like, where are the jet skis? Like, why can't I see them? And he was like, they're there. Like, don't worry about it. And the relief I felt when they came back. But it's true because I wouldn't have felt like I've been on jet skis before. I used to love that stuff. Now, wouldn't catch me dead on it.
I understand the safety element of it from your perspective as a mother as well. My sister's been traveling now for at least like I'm gonna say 9 months.
Oh wow!
Yeah, my parents went to go see her.
Yeah.
For like I think a couple of months in, they went to go. They were out there, so but like I haven't seen her, and like obviously gave her a hug goodbye, etc. and stuff. And I know like my mum in that situation, even my dad, like we used to like check in every day just to make sure she was okay and stuff like that. But it's like, if we live in fear, we won't allow her to go do what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
And like vice versa, if she lived in fear, she possibly wouldn't be able to. And like she'd call us when she felt scared, or call us when like things just weren't working out. And it's like, I could laugh about it over the phone with her, and it's such a different scenario because like you're still able to provide that comfort and support.
Yeah.
And if something goes wrong, touch wood, if something ever goes wrong where like for argument's sake, like a card gets declined or something like that, I think it's in those areas of life you're able to possibly find another way.
Yeah.
You find another route. Like you, as an example, had a miscarriage, but we're still able to bring to this world 2 beautiful children right now, right? There is a way.
There is a way. Yeah, there is a way. For let's not sugarcoat it, actually. There is a way for most people. So I know somebody who is going through multiple back-to-back and like IVF and this and that, and nothing is working. But then I guess like the other way is, there is a way. Actually, you're right, because they can adopt. Like there is a way.
There are alternatives.
Yeah.
You might not get I think the bigger picture, because I've had conversations with like extended family members who have like had these kind of like topics that have come up. They're still single, would love to have a family, etc., stuff like that. And it's like, long story short, you're telling me you want this picture right now, yeah? Maybe your path is designed for a different picture, still similar, i.e. adoption, if that's something. If you really want children, why can't you adopt? Yeah, you say, when people tell me like they want a partner but they really want kids after, I'm like, so do you really want the partner, or do you just want the children?
Yeah.
Like you want this nice picture of a loving husband, a loving wife, and kids, etc. Great, but in this moment in time right now, let's not aloof from the facts that there are stuff going on with you personally where you're insecure, you're lacking confidence, work isn't going well, family issues, you haven't worked on any of that stuff right now. So everything you try to do in terms of finding a partner, you're bringing all that energy into it.
Yeah.
And now you want children. Well, I'm gonna just break it down for you. You can have kids. There are ways where you can have kids.
Yeah.
If it's not IVF, if it's not if you say, for instance, hypothetically, you wanted kids with just a random stranger for the sake of it.
It's possible.
There
are ways.
We're not saying that do that, but there are workarounds.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and it's not ideal, but it's accepting the fact that what is it you truly want first.
Yeah.
And it just gets me thinking back in regards to your situation. At some point, I feel for you personally, I think the mother you really want to be is something you're holding back on. And
First one to say that.
in due course, I'm gonna be interested to hear how things have worked out for you on the back end of this conversation. I feel like it might hit a nerve for you to possibly be like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna reach out to those people a little bit more to see what's possible.
I've stood somebody up that was supposed to, like, I booked in a call and I was like, right, we're gonna have our session, and I just didn't turn up for it. So yeah, this does hit a nerve, because it's funny that we're having this conversation right now when it's all like it happened all around this time, and then you're literally like, but you can feel better. And I think I'm probably the only one that's telling myself that I can't feel better. So just stay here, because here is okay.
But
Here is okay.
But is it okay?
I don't know.
And this is like one of the biggest things I had to realize in terms of like life is all right,
Yeah.
but this isn't what my life is really destined for. There's so much more I can extrapolate from these cards I've been dealt.
Yeah.
Why am I just playing it safe? For some people, playing it safe gives them all the excitement and happiness, because what they get from being safe is the joys of other things, and that's totally fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a case of when you can hand on your heart say, I'm stopping myself doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, I want more.
And if I turn it around to, let's say, like your business as an example, and the coaching and like the advice and the training and the motivation you give to your clients, I'd like to think that there's an element where that can be taken up a notch once you get comfortable with the fact that things aren't right for you personally and there are improvements. And when your client comes up to you with a similar story, you've got the steps and the guidance to be like, I can empathize with you. I understand.
Yeah.
I'm here. I want to recommend you this book. I want to recommend you this podcast or X, Y, and Z. And
have something, have more to be able to offer. And you know what? You're right. And you are right. It's due time where I do something about it, because I don't want to live in fear. You're right. Yeah, life is okay, but I'm not built for okay.
Yeah.
That's not what I want. I want great. I want everything, and I know like it's there. I just don't know how to.
It'll come in due course.
I think it comes from our background, right? Like miscarriages, nobody talks about a miscarriage. We don't know other people have miscarriages until you get onto Google and realize that statistic is literally 1 in 4 people have a miscarriage. I knew nobody. I had a miscarriage at the age of, I think I was 28 or 29, right? And I knew not a single person at that point who hadn't had a miscarriage. And I was literally like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. You know, it was my body, because something wrong with me. But that's the crap that nobody educates on this. And I think that's a massive, massive thing, especially within our culture. Like schools, were cool. But actually, if I'd learnt this from my mum had a miscarriage and I didn't know about it, right? Like my mum had a miscarriage. If I had known that actually this stuff happens, maybe I would have been
more prepped.
Yeah.
If we like kind of like flip the script slightly, it's a case of like, yes, if you knew this, maybe it would have been a lot more helpful. Things are going to come at you in life, and you're just not going to see it coming.
No, yeah.
And you give me the kind of vibe, you're the kind of person that is going to get back up and find a way of just powering through.
Touch wood.
Don't feel like your journey has to require you just being a hero on your own.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Get the support that's necessary for you to be the best version of yourself versus being a shadow of the possibilities of what Meha has to bring to this world and what she has to bring to this table.
Sure, that's so that comment is actually hit a nerve, because I feel like you kind of always get taught, you know, got to be the strong one. You have to hold the house together. You've got to keep this. You've got to keep this going. And up until I came here, I'd like to think that I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to follow down that path. But actually, subconsciously, I've been doing exactly that.
It is a subconscious thing.
Yeah.
Until someone points it out to you. So this is the funny thing. Like whenever I have like a discovery call, or someone just wants to just have a little chat, they're going through something, can I talk to you about it? And then I just open their mind in regards to like, yeah, you're saying all of this, but just want to point out there's a lot of this going on. They're like, fuck. And I've had people break down, men and women cry on that first call, and they're like, shit, I did not see this. Now that it's fine. I'm not here to like do that to you. Yeah. But
I mean, you already are literally like, my cogs are ticking. I'm
not, but like, it's mad when you see things from different perspectives. Like I've said it so many times, when my part of that coaching school I was with, when they did this to me, and like something just hit, and the tears just come flying out, and it's just a case of like, damn. Right, the penny's now dropping, because I can see a different lifestyle, and oh, this is very uncomfortable right now. What do I want to do? Do I want to stay in this kind of dark void I've allowed to be normal? Or do I want to experiment with the possibility of what a smile actually truly feels like versus this fake one I just keep putting up?
Yeah.
It is interesting.
It's very interesting, actually, because you know what? I think before I came here, I was just like, no, like, I'm good. Like, I'm dealing with this. I have moments where I'm like, oh my God, it's all gotten on top of me. Like, something will happen on TV, or, you know, like, there'll be a sad scene about babies and that's it. Like, I'm gone. But I thought I was okay. But I think I've never really just spoken to actually know that there's a lot more there that is hidden underneath that I'm not really letting come to the surface.
There are probably communities, there are groups. We live in an area that's quite highly populated. There are so many options and availabilities that could possibly help you in certain ways. And like, if I try and take this back to, like, say your business and your coaching, and like we said at the very start, helping people see the difference with like diets. You don't have to just focus on like having broccolis and stuff like that. Like, you offer a mindset shift, shift, right?
Yeah.
In regards to what's good for you on certain degrees, but what's also good for you. And you don't have to like live this lifestyle where you have to be eating what certain people call clean, but like the greens and all. No, you can have a pizza. This is just a breakdown of what this pizza does.
Yeah.
So if I just flip that in regards to your life, like, you don't have to live this. You can have this other version of you, which
have the pizza.
You can have the pizza. You don't have to keep forcing down these. I'm not sure if you like your greens, but you don't have to keep forcing that down you.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's so wild because I feel like, even with my business, like, I approach it very, like, everybody, the feedback I always get is that, oh, like, you never sort of bang us down. Like, I'm not the coach that's going to shout at you if you don't do something. And I try and always approach it through a place of empathy, because you never know what somebody is going through. And that came from my situation. And it came from like, well, actually, I didn't want the hard. And some people don't need that. Some people just need a little bit of help and coaching. But actually, if I open myself to more, if I do this, like, I can just imagine how much more I can, like, this happens. Like, now miscarriages is all the way around me. I know recently a girl had a miscarriage, and I gave her the story about, this is what helped me. But actually, imagine if I had more. Like, I could be like, I spoke to this person and they offered me this, this, and this, and you can do this, this, and this. And I'd actually be educated. I'd be changing. And she would then go and help somebody, and maybe we would change.
It's like if you one of my thoughts I had earlier was just like around, and I don't know the full science behind it, so I'd love to get someone on the podcast who could educate me on that front. But in regards to, like, say, the woman's body clock, right? There's a certain age where your body changes in a way where possibly having kids might be more difficult, right?
Yeah.
But there are cases and there are news bulletins and stories where celebrities are still having children at a certain age, and it's like that whole fear of just jumping back in. Yeah. Well, you can get yourself tested to begin with, just to see if everything's okay. And, like, you don't have to necessarily rush that process. It might not even be your fault. It might be the partner's fault.
Yeah.
And there are so many things. And, like, from that perspective, it's maybe there's a lifestyle you want to live when you've gone through your 20s, your 25s, you're now hitting your 30 age and you're still single, but there's still half the world you want to see. You don't have to settle down just yet.
No.
But, like, what possibly some elements of science tells you is that, no, you need to settle down if you want children.
Yeah. Society, science, everything is against a woman's
No, don't get me wrong. I hear you. But my point is that, like, there are, if you have that belief system that you need to have children by a certain age, etc., just using this as an example, what does that limit you from in regards to what's possible in that couple of years where you could have been, your business could have flourished?
Yeah.
You were killing it at work in your corporate environment, and you could have been making a lot more money. You could have bought another house, etc., etc. Like, those things can be taken away from you if you focus in on what, let's say, the noise tells you.
Yeah. There's so many people. I know somebody who she's just 35 or something, and she literally, like, I'm not going to be able to have children. I'm like, well, why do you think
Yeah.
that? Like, why? She's like, I haven't found anybody. I'm 35 years old. Like, I can't have children. And I'm like, but you 100% can. Like, there's so many other avenues, and you don't even want the partner side of
Yeah.
it. Focus on the child side of it. But society tells you that you have to do marriage,
Yeah.
no, job, marriage, children.
Yeah.
Like in that order. So no, it does, and I do think that it does limit you. I love my children. I love my children a lot. But after having them, me and my husband both realized, like, how much did we not do? Like,
Yeah.
we spent so long trying to have children that we limited everything that we could do. Like, half the world was off limits to go and see because of Zika. We limited so much, and then you have children, and those limitations increase like twofold.
Like I told you, my boy can't play golf for me because he's got to do stuff with the kids.
My husband can't play
Yeah, I
golf
know.
either.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy. Look, I'm gonna try and put in a good word, and we can have a little round. You know.
He's gonna love you now.
There you go.
He's still not coming. No, I'm joking. Kind of. But it limits you twofold. Like, so if even if people just spoke, if more people were open about, actually, I didn't get married and my life is full. You don't. I by no means think that, you need to have children or you need to be married or you need to have whatever to have a fulfilled life. What's fulfilling is it's a personal choice, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think science or society promote that side.
Nah, it's cool. And this is where, like, say, platforms like this as an example, but like all across like social media, etc. There are voices that are possibly trying to project that this isn't the only way.
Yeah.
There are other alternatives and options. And it's more of a case of allowing yourself to listen to that versus being stuck with what you've been semi-brainwashed with.
Yeah.
Very quickly, because I know we ain't touched base on it, and this conversation just spiraled out. And it's good because it always happens on the podcast. But I wanted to give you give you a little segment just to talk about this whole dieting thing as well. Because for me personally, I used to call it, like, say, cheat meals and stuff like that. And my coach used to, like, say, bro, it's not a cheat meal. Stop saying that.
Nah, it's normal. It's food.
You can go to a wedding if you've got events.
Yeah.
All right, okay, cool. It's all oily. Indian food's all oily and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to introduce something called the 1 plate rule.
Yeah.
Break down your plate in regards to what you can have, and that's it. Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to stop drinking.
You can have a drink. You can live your life. You don't have to. Do you know what? This whole diet culture thing is, and I think it's because to get a good result, right? To get a fast result, you can do things by cutting things out, and there's a way of doing it, right? But actually, why focus on the fast, quick result when you have no idea what it does to your body, what it does inside you? And also, as a mother, like, I am so conscious of what I say around my daughter. I'm so conscious of what my son sees me eating, because it's not just girls who grow up with eating disorders. Like, boys have it too, right? Yeah. I will always, if my son wants a pizza on a Friday night, just balance your food, balance your macros, have the bloody pizza. Nobody needs to know. I feel like this whole diet culture, and I've done fad diets, like, not proud of it, done fad diets because I grew up thinking, oh, to get skinny, I'm going to have Special K twice a bloody day, or I'm going to have to do, cut out all carbs. It completely messed with my system.
Of course it does.
And to be fair, I wouldn't be surprised if all of that is what impacted why it took so long to also have a baby, because I destroyed myself trying to be the society's version of perfect. And the worst part is that I never needed to change in the first place.
Yeah.
I was fine, right? So especially with, like, my clients now, I always be like, look, let's focus on family-friendly meals. Yeah. I don't want the mum and dad eating something different from their children. Yeah. For their children to be like, oh, how comes we get to have pasta and
you lot are not?
You lot don't have that conversation. Yeah. Eat the same thing. Eat in moderation.
Yeah, that's it.
Moderation.
I told my dad this. He recently came back from a holiday and he was like, I think I need to lose some weight. And I said, all right, Dad, don't try to be a hero, because every time you do this, you could do this yo-yo effect, right? Yeah. Where you'll lose weight and all of a sudden, as soon as the results start working, you give up, right? Yeah. And so I said, all right, a few things that you've never done in the past is get your steps in.
Standard.
So let's try and introduce that a bit more.
Yeah.
Get some more water down you.
Yeah.
Like, you love going out and going for drinks, right? With your friends. Great. I love the fact that you have a social life. But the flip side of it is that what do you love more, the social or the drinking part of it? Like, you can still go out and drive there and have one drink and then come back. You can have a few drinks and then come back. You can change what you drink so you can still be a part of that if that's important to you. And slowly, these things are kicking in. And he's like, "Nah, I need to cut all carbs." I said, "Dad, no. The myth is that you cut all carbs out and it's great. Short term, it's good. Long term, you're going to lose your energy. You're not going to be able to do the things you do." And like, he's big into his golf as well. So your performance is going to change.
Yeah.
You know, like, firstly, Dad, you don't train or exercise to that extent. So you need a lot more proteins in your diet.
Yeah.
It might be good to possibly introduce a shake every now and then just to see what that does. But don't try and be a hero and just think you could just do all of this stuff and it's just going to just fall away, because what you're failing to realize is that your body is going to react to that. But at the same time, to maintain this, you're going to require a lot more. I know I've been like doing diets and I try to lose weight and lose like stomach fat and stuff. And like when I was working with my coach for a long period of time, I saw results, fantastic. But I went from being like 82 kilos, which by all means, I thought I was healthy.
Yeah.
For my height, I was like in the green, so very, very good. And not overweight, looked pretty lean. I went down to 66. And like I look ripped, but a lot of my friends say to me, "I'm not going to lie to you, bro, you look sick. You look ill."
You're like, yeah.
And it's like...
And I bet you're all miserable.
And I love the fact, I was like, yo, I'm ripped right now. Not as ripped as I could be. And I was just like, I'd like to be in that kind of body. But at the same time, if I have to keep giving up a kebab, a pizza, a KFC and stuff like that, like, where's the fun in that? You know, my career, my life isn't like surrounded by just being an athlete, because that's not my job.
No, yeah.
My job is to coach, is to corporate work, etc., etc., etc. So like, understand that it's going to be a difficult journey for you. Flip side of it, everyone's genes are different. One of the boys in the gym right now tells, and he's like looking like, you know, Chucky, I'm going to give you a little shout out as well, yeah, because you know, yeah, you've been putting on the gains massive. I was speaking to him and I was like, "Bro, talk to me about the diet." And he says, "Fam, I'm not going to lie to you. It's a myth. I ain't got no diet." And I said, "Sharp." He says, "Yeah, nah, like, honestly, it's a lot of junk food every now and then."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Bro, you know, no, bro, I'm not." He said, "I'm not going to lie to you, bro. It's just the genes. I can't help it." And I was like...
Some people are lucky. Some people are lucky.
It is what it is. And I'm like, bro, I'm like weighing out my food. You know, I'm having greens. You know, my protein intake is on point. And I'm like, how the hell are you getting these results? I said, bro, I train, maybe not as hard as you, but to some degree, I train.
Yeah.
You know, I do my steps. You know, I'm doing... Just smiling and laughing. I was like,
do you know,
brother.
It's so funny you say that. Just yesterday we had this conversation. We went out for dinner as a family, and my sister-in-law was there. And my sister-in-law is slim and she looks fantastic. So I was saying to my husband, I was like, I couldn't stop looking at your sister. She just looks so good, you know. And then he turned around and he was like, "Yeah, but Meha, like, she got really great genes. Like, and my mum is slim, she's petite. Her mum is slim and petite. Like, she's got great genes." And I was like, yeah, it's true, because she slams cake like no one's business. Like, she slams anything with sugar. She doesn't really work out that much. She just looks great. It's down to genes. A lot of people, when they join up, and you know, one of the questions I ask is, what is your favourite foods?
Yeah.
And I'll incorporate, like, I'll be like, look, have this and have this.
Include it in the plan.
Yeah. And they're like, nah. I can't eat this, you know. I don't mind it as a cheat meal. And I'm like, we don't use those words because you're going to live for a cheat meal.
Yeah.
But your cheat meal might be once a week or once every 2 weeks. What, you're going to be miserable for 2 weeks looking forward to that one night where you get to have a Domino's pizza.
That 10 minutes where you scoff that down.
Yeah, and then you feel like crap anyway because you finished it quickly, right? No.
Nah, I like what you're saying there, because like, I try to break it down to my dad. I was like, look, you can cut all this stuff out right now. The problem is that like, you're trying to lose weight. So science says you need to be in a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
So you want to look at it on a weekly scale.
Yeah.
So just think to yourself, like, if you're cutting everything out Monday to Friday, but Saturday and Sunday you're just binging it all back in, it's pointless. So you have to just be realistic and say, if you want to include it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just be understanding that, all right, okay, cool. I've got to make sure I do my steps, so because that compensates for some of it. I've got to make sure I'm sleeping correctly because that compensates. And there's so many other elements. Water is honestly so under bloody rated. Like, water is so, you're literally peeing away the fat. Like, I can't tell you how much easier it could be. Of course. And like, it's there are myths, like you got to take supplements and stuff like that. Like, there are workarounds and there are ways. And I also feel like you need to come to terms with accepting the fact that your body is this way and this is what possible, but at the same time, it may require you doing X, Y, and Z. If you're not comfortable and ready for that, that's fine. Just accept the fact that it's going to be a longer journey.
Yeah.
And be cool with that.
Do you know, we talk about this a lot. I love food. Anything to do with food. Like, I love sugar. I love chocolate. I love good tasting food. If I was to take away food, but I also want to be like super, super lean. Like I want to get to the point where like, I can get my abs out and be like, yo, there's not an ounce of body fat. But I love food way more. And it's a choice. I want to be healthy.
That's the realization.
Yeah, I want to be healthy. Do I want to be miserable to be super lean? For who?
Yeah.
Because who is going to care under my clothes when nobody sees my 0% fat abs? Who cares?
Yeah.
And I think that's the realization. Like you see celebrities and they look fantastic, right? But what we don't understand is that they have a they have a PT, they have a dietitian, they have a chef, they have all the tools to be able to eat delicious food without having to do. They put in the work, obviously, because they're the ones working out, but they don't have to do all the other stuff around it.
Yeah.
We can't have those same
Their lifestyle is very different.
It's very different. We can't have those same aspirations.
And I feel like what you said there, right there, is that acceptance. Like, what do I love more? Food? Or do I want that body? And I tell this all the time. Like, some people kind of want it.
Yeah.
They don't really want it.
Yeah.
You want to look fantastic? Great, cool. But at the same time, you love your sweets and your chocolates more. That's not a problem.
It's not bad.
All that means is that, like, if you want to still have that and you want to get there, you may have to limit parts of it.
Yeah,
just parts of it. Yeah. Or at the same time, like, you may have to cut it out and you have to ask yourself what's more important to you.
Yeah.
And once you got that, like, kind of like plugged in here, things work out a little bit differently. Like, I've understood through my journey that, like, I want to be as ripped as I can, and that's not for anyone else. That's for me personally.
Yeah.
For, like, I'm very into my sports, so like I want to make sure I'm at my utmost best in terms of athletic performance to be able to deliver on golf, gym, football, etc.
Always golf.
Always golf. No, but like for me, it's important on that front. I also know that, like, man, like after today, I may have to get myself a Nando's on the way home. Like I may have to, and I'm not cutting back. I'm not going to hold back and not get chips and get a salad because it just ruins the meal. So, but it's accepting the fact that, like, okay, cool. For me to be able to make this meal count, tomorrow may require me doing something a little bit extra after golf. Maybe like a cool down, a stretch, yoga. I never do it anyway, but it's that, right? If you want to go for a piss up, okay, cool, sweet. Just know the fact that, like, yo, bro, if you're having a couple of beers, the calories in that, be realistic and understand the fact that next week when you go gym, because it doesn't have to be tomorrow. Yeah, next week.
Yeah.
Just give yourself an extra 10 minutes on the treadmill before you even start, and that will compensate. And it's introducing things like that, and it's changing that mindset first.
And it's changing the mindset that you're going to achieve this dream body that we want.
I think that's the problem. The problem is that the dream body.
Yeah.
You kept mentioning it earlier, like people want to look great, etc. What's great?
What is great?
Meh.
What is great? I feel like people just want. Do you know what it is? I find that a lot of people that come, they're like, they've got a goal.
Yeah.
And they're like, right, in this amount of time, I want to have lost this much weight.
Yeah.
But actually, don't put that pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how your body is going to react. Like, your friend may have lost 20 kg in X amount of time. And, we all have to market our best bits because that's how we work, right? But every single person is different. So don't put your story next to somebody else. Like, for example, you can't compare yourself to the guy who's got great genes because he's already got a head start.
I hear you.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things where if people just went for, I want to get healthy.
Yeah.
I want to feel better about myself, and I want to feel like I want to look good in my clothes. I want to feel good when I'm naked. If they just went with that attitude, everything else falls into place.
100%.
Yeah, everything 100%. Falls into place.
Meha, I don't want to cut you short because I feel like someone might be trying to come in the room right now. I don't know. A bit scared about that, but
I'm like, oh, what's cracking?
That's it. Where can everyone find you if they want to get in touch?
Instagram, MOG.Fitness. Just DM me. I'm good with DM.
But big thank you for coming through.
Thank you so much.
And
thank you for my coaching.
I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. But no, thank you for being vulnerable. It's always important that people can feel that they can be, and like I hope like this is an example for others who watch this and then say to themselves, oh shit, yeah, she actually went unfiltered and she got a bit real with it. possible. There are people here that can hold space. So
I wasn't expecting it, to be
I wasn't expecting it too. But no,
Thank
love.
you.
Thank you for coming through.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again for listening. It's been your boy Uncle Pre. It's always a pleasure to be in the studio and record with my guests. I hope you have enjoyed this episode, and if you like stuff like this, please do like, comment and subscribe. It helps me take the podcast to a place where I can definitely bring in more people that are going to resonate with you, whether it's their stories, whether it's their journey, whether it's just something that they're going through right now. So definitely like, comment and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, much appreciated you staying in here. I love everyone that comes through, and I love all the comments and feedback that I get, so keep that coming through. And yeah, it's been your boy Uncle Pre, and I'm signing out. Peace.